What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. November's here, which means it's time to discuss my most anticipated movies of the month. Before we begin, let me know in the comments which movies in November you're most looking forward to seeing. As always, this is just a reminder that this will be in order of release date and not ranked by how much I'm anticipating each movie. Also, make sure to hit that thumbs up button if you like these videos, as it helps me out immensely by getting my content out there. And if you're new here, I hope you consider hitting that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with more movie-related content on a near daily basis. As per usual, we got 10 movies to discuss. This is not a comprehensive list of this month's releases, though we've got a lot headed our way. The one thing worth noting, Bones and All does get released this month, but I already did check it out in an early screening. I already reviewed it, so I am not including it here. I would have otherwise. I know that's one a lot of people are looking forward to seeing. I do recommend you check it out though, but that won't be on this list. As for the rest of this month though, my most anticipated movies are, in release order, Something in the Dirt, brought to us by Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, who also both star in the film as two neighbors who begin documenting strange events outside their apartment building. While I haven't seen all these filmmakers' works, I was a big fan of their most recent film, Synchronic, especially for the way it effectively utilized a lot of surrealist imagery while still telling an engaging story. And from the sounds of it, that also seems to be the case with this film, which also takes on a much more comedic tone than the duo are previously known for. The trailers keep things pretty close to the chest, so I'm looking forward to seeing what surprises might be in store here. This got a limited theatrical release on the 4th, meaning it's already out, but if you can't see it in theaters, it'll have a VOD release on the 22nd. Weird, the Al Yankovic story, which is easily my most anticipated of all the movies on this list, simply because, well, it's a parody Weird Al biopic starring Harry Potter himself, Daniel Radcliffe. And while I was a fan of Radcliffe from his Potter days, what's made me immediately gravitate towards most of his more recent projects these days is that he tends to take on roles in films that are pretty bizarre or absolutely strange, most of which have no mainstream appeal whatsoever. Now, along with his supporting role in The Lost City earlier this year, this is by far one of his more mainstream roles to date. A lot of people have been talking about this one, but you take one look at the trailer and you can tell this is going to be an absolute blast in the vein of movies like Walk Hard or Popstar. Despite the fact it originated from a Funny or Die sketch, this seems to elevate considerably beyond what could have just been a one-joke movie into what seems like it'll be one of the funniest movies of the year. So I'm all in, and it hit the Roku channel for free on the 4th. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, and I gotta admit, initially I was a little nervous how this one was going to go, given the death of Chadwick Boseman, but after getting one look at the trailer, consider me sold. Not only does this look like one of the most visually stunning of the most recent MCU entries, but it looks like it'll honor Boseman's legacy beautifully while still moving forward with a new story in a touching, respectful way. Plus, with that, we'll also get introduced to a longtime favorite Marvel superhero, Namor the Submariner, and it's been said that Tenoch Huerta, who portrays him, is very good in this movie. So I'm looking forward to this. I think it'll be one of the better of the most recent MCU films, and it hits theaters on the 11th. The Fablemans, which is the semi-autobiographical story based on the childhood of Steven Spielberg. Now, this does seem like it's following a recent trend of filmmakers making films loosely based on their own childhood, like Kenneth Branagh with Belfast and Alfonso Cuarón with Roma. But that being said, when Steven Spielberg has a new movie coming out, it's hard not to be excited, especially considering how a lot of his recent output has been pretty great for the most part, and I highly doubt this will be the one to break the streak, especially for the personal attachment he'll have to the material. Plus, it's a movie about the love of filmmaking and the film industry in general, and I'm always a sucker for those types of movies, so while at times this seems like it might be a bit overly sentimental, I think it'll still have plenty of movie magic to it, and it hits theaters in a limited release on the 11th, followed by a wide release on the 23rd. My Father's Dragon, the latest film from Cartoon Saloon, which sees a young runaway boy go on a search for a captive dragon, only to find much more than he could have anticipated. I still haven't seen all of Cartoon Saloon's films, but their latest movie, Wolfwalkers, was one of my favorite films of 2020, and as a huge proponent of 2D animation, the animation in both that film as well as this just looks absolutely gorgeous. And it's clear, looking at the reception to their entire filmography, that they put a lot of care into their stories, all of which have been praised as very heartfelt, and it appears to once again be the case here. This does appear to maybe be a bit more kid-oriented than Wolfwalkers was, but I'm sure we'll still be in for a real treat. And we'll see when this hits Netflix on the 11th. The Menu, the darkly comedic horror film that's been receiving rave reviews out of the festival circuit, focusing on a young couple who go eat at a lavish restaurant, only to find that the head chef has some shocking surprises for the guests. This is something that's 100% right up my alley. I love a good dark comedy. I love horror movies. I heard how it's a brilliant social satire about the rich. It's got an excellent cast. This just seems like something that I'm going to absolutely be in love with. I've heard nothing but great things from everyone who's caught it at film festivals over the past few months, and the trailers seem to indicate it'll be a blast. I'm really excited for it. I think it's going to be a great time, and it hits theaters on the 18th. She Said, which focuses on the investigation that exposed Harvey Weinstein. Brought to us by Maria Schrader, who gave us one of the most underrated movies of last year in my opinion, I'm Your Man. This seems like it'll be one of the films to be on the lookout for this award season, primarily in the acting categories for Carey Mulligan and Zoe Kazan. Now, it seems like one of those movies that's bound to venture into your typical biopic true story territory, but it's still a timely story, one that's somehow already 5 years old, and from what I've read about it via the festival circuit, it does a lot to honor journalistic integrity, so I'm interested in seeing how the final product is, and we'll see once it hits theaters on the 18th. Glass Onion, a Knives Out story, and this is another one that's high up there this month for me. Knives Out was one of my favorite movies of 2019, Rian Johnson is one of my favorite filmmakers working today, and similar to its predecessor, this looks like it'll just be a lot of fun. I'm always down for a good murder mystery. Daniel Craig was a blast as Detective Blanc, and you've got an awesome supporting cast. I'm especially excited to see Catherine Hahn and Dave Bautista. And from what a lot of people have been saying, this is just as great as the first movie, with some even going so far to say that it's better than Knives Out, which is definitely a bold statement right there. But if it's truly the case that it's at least equal to the first film, just give me tons more of these movies. I am totally down for that. But as for this gets a 1-week limited theatrical release on the 23rd, followed by a Netflix release December 23rd. Strange World, the latest film from Walt Disney Animation Studios. And while people have been giving this one kind of a hard time, considering how Disney's not really doing much to market this, I'm actually fairly optimistic about it. For one thing, it looks to be a fun throwback film, acting as a tribute to 40s and 50s sci-fi B-movies of the time, which I do enjoy. You've got Jake Gyllenhaal as the lead, and while I've always enjoyed Gyllenhaal, I think he's been even more of a fun leading man in recent years. And while I don't think this will allow him to be so off the wall as he has been in his live-action roles, I think he'll still be a lot of fun here. Plus, it's being helmed by Don Hall, who's either written or directed some of the better Disney animated features in the last decade, from Big Hero 6 to Moana to Raya and the Last Dragon. So while it doesn't feel like there's too much hype surrounding this one, I still think it'll be a fun ride, and hits theaters on the 23rd. And finally, White Noise, the latest film from the always great Noah Baumbach that sees a college professor played by Adam Driver deal with an airborne toxic event that ravages his town. This is another one that's been playing the festival circuit a lot already, and most people have been especially impressed considering the novel this is based on, which I haven't read, was considered unfilmable. But also considering Baumbach is also great at evoking such raw human emotion from his films, I'm really excited to see how he manages to tell an engaging story and still hit us with some of the great emotional moments while also providing a lot of laughs as well, as this has also been described as a dark comedy, something which I'm always on board with. Throw in a great cast that also includes Greta Gerwig, Andre Benjamin, and Don Cheadle, and this is sure to be another hit for Baumbach. This gets a limited theatrical release on the 25th, followed by a Netflix release December 30th. But let me know, what are your most anticipated movies of this month? Is it anything I listed here? Was it something I left off? Let me know in the comments below so we can discuss. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it. And for more movie reviews and film discussion, please make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated. Thanks for watching, everyone, and keep having fun with film.